All right, hey guys, now we're going to be continuing on to 31 to 40. Okay, so for number 31, looks like we're going to be dealing with the comparative and absolute advantages again. So the only really way to solve these kind of questions is if you turn the resource units into production numbers. So we are given the resource units. Now, resource units could be anything. It could be Gamma needs 10 people to make one food, or 9 units to make one food. So the resource units could be anything. Okay, but we're using the units to make 1 unit of food or 1 unit of clothing. So the best way to figure out how to do this is to figure out what if they both had the same amount of units. For instance, what if they both had 90 units of labor? Okay, if they both had 90 units, how many food can Gamma make? Okay, if they had 90 units and Gamma takes 10 units to make one food, that would mean that Gamma could make 9 food, right? Because it takes 10 units to make one food. If they had 90 units, they could make 9. If they have 9 units of units to make one clothing, and they had 90 units, they would be able to make 10 clothing. And now what we're doing for the math on these is that if it's one food and it takes them 5 units, then that would mean to make X food, they would need 90 units. So this would just be a proportion, which would be 90 equals 5x. We would divide by 5. So X is equal to 18. So for Omega, 18 food and 30 clothing. Finally, we can now do the comparative advantage, which we're used to doing. So for Gamma and Omega, 1 food, right? We're going to do 9 divided by 9, 10 divided by 9, and that's going to be equal to 1.1 clothing. And then we'll do 18 divided by 18, 30 divided by 18, and this should be 1.67. So right here, who does food? Gamma. Gamma does food. If we were to go the other way, then you would see 1 clothing. For Gamma, 1 clothing would be 0.9 food. And then for Omega, this would be 0.6 clothing. Okay, so Omega would do clothing. The only answer that makes sense here is B. Gamma does food, Omega does clothing. Number 32, we have the production possibilities curve, and we have our numbers. The opportunity cost, remember, that means giving up. What are you giving up when you go from 0 to 200? Well, you had 1,000, and now you're at 980. How much did you give up? You gave up 20 units of X. Number 33, which one best illustrates the law of demand? Remember, law of demand was price up, quantity down. So which one best illustrates that? Is it as real incomes of citizens have decreased, the demand has also decreased? No, that's not the law of demand. We're dealing with price and quantity. Recent price decreases in price of imported wine has led to increase in consumption of domestic wine. Well, that one's confusing, right? Because you're like, oh, price down, quantity up. But look, that's imported wine and domestic wine. That would be substitutes, which is not the law of demand. The law of demand is more like this. In the past several months, as the price of compact discs has decreased, the quantity of compact discs sold has increased. Price goes down, quantity goes up. That is the law of demand because it is the same good. It's not a substitute, it's the same good. Okay? So C is going to be your answer here. 34, this gives you your total utility from consuming chocolate bars. So we have the total. What is true about the marginal utility? So let's find the marginal utility real quick. All we do is we find the change in the marginal. We find the change in the total. That's how we find marginal. So we go from 0 to 40. So that is an increase of 40. 40 to 70. That was a change of 30. Then we'll do 20, 10, and negative 20. That's how we're finding the marginal. We're finding the change in the total. So, is your margin utility from the first candy bar greater than the margin utility of the second? Well, your margin utility of the first one was 40, and your margin utility from the second one is 30. So, A could be true. Let's take a look at the other ones. Your margin utility from the fourth candy bar is greater than the third. Well, your fourth one is 10, and your third one is 20. So it's not that one. Is your marginal utility increasing at a constant rate? No, it's not increasing, it's actually decreasing. He first experiences diminishing marginal utility when the fifth candy bar. No, when does he start having diminishing marginal utility? Remember, diminishing means that as you consume more, your marginal is going down. So as you can see here, your marginal is always decreasing. So it actually happens on the first candy bar. Your greatest margin utility comes from the fourth candy bar. Nope, your greatest margin utility comes from the first one. So it's not that one. Your answer is A. Number 35. The graph above shows the supply and demand for gasoline. Which of the following is true for a price ceiling of $1.20? Remember, a price ceiling is a maximum price. Okay, so this is the most you can charge for gasoline. Where does the market always go to? The market always goes to equilibrium. So if we put a price ceiling here, okay, that's the ceiling, here's you. Can you see the equilibrium? Yes. Can you charge the equilibrium? Yes. If you can see it, you can charge it. Okay, so since the ceiling is there, we can see the equilibrium. We will charge the equilibrium. So this is your quantity. You will have neither a surplus or a shortage. If this was a price floor, then you would be up here, right? Can you see the equilibrium? No, because the floor is in the way. So if this is a price floor, then we would have a surplus. But because it's a price ceiling, we are gonna have neither. 36, according to the table above, which shows the cost of production for a firm, the average total cost of producing 3 units is what? So we're looking for the average total cost, ATC, all right? So there's a couple ways we can find the ATC, and that is the total cost divided by quantity, or we can do the average fixed plus the average variable. So either way. So I suggest we find the total cost. And the reason I suggest finding the total cost is because we have the marginal. Remember, the marginal cost is the change in the total cost. So basically, your cost changed by 15, 10, and 15. So your marginal cost is giving you your total cost. So what was your total cost at zero quantity? Well, that would be your fixed cost. Now, because you're doing an extra quantity, your cost changed by 15. That's your marginal cost, 15. So you went from 20 plus 15. So your total cost is 35. Okay, if you made the second one, you're now at 10. So now you're at 45. And then finally, you're gonna add another 15 because that's your marginal cost is 15. Your change in your cost is 15. So you went from 45 to 60 because that is your marginal cost is 15. So what's your average total cost of 3 units? Well, your total cost is 60. So that would be 60 divided by 3. So that would be 20. 36 is E because we found our total cost and we have our quantity. Okay. Number 37. In the short run, a decrease in the production cost will shift what? Well, it's production cost, so that's supply. Because it's a decrease, supply is going to go up. So therefore, we're going to shift the supply to the right. Remember, if it's a decrease in the production cost, it is cheaper to buy things. You can buy more cotton for your t-shirts. So supply to the right. Number 38, a perfectly competitive firm earning economic profits. So that meant price is greater than your ATC. Produces and sells 100 units of output at a price of 20. So P equals 20, Q equals 100. Its marginal cost of increasing output to a rate of 101 is 18. Which of the following is correct? So if you did the other product here, your marginal cost is 18. 18. All right, so let's figure out what's going on here. The total revenue from selling 101 units is the same as the total revenue from selling 100 units. Is your total revenue the same? No, right? Because you're selling more. If you sold one more, your total revenue would increase. Your total revenue is going to go up here, so it's not A. Your total profits from selling 101 units is $2 greater than the total profit from selling 100 units. Well, is that true? Yes, because look here. Your marginal revenue is what? 20. Right? So how much does your revenue go up? 20. How much does your cost go up? 18. So if your revenue goes up 20 and your cost goes up 18, how much did your profits go up? 2. What is that extra bit here? You're going up 20 on your revenue, up 18 on your cost. So the difference there is your profits are going to be $2 greater. So B. Okay. Let's see here. Your total cost of 101, it's $2 greater. No, it's actually 18 greater, because remember your marginal cost is 18. To sell 100 units, the firm must reduce its profit price to below 20. No, you cannot change your price. Remember, you are a perfectly competitive firm. So you cannot change your price. 39, in the short run, in perfect competition, the for industry's demand curve and the firm's demand curve have which of the following slopes? Well, the industry demand curve, remember, is simple. It's supply and demand. And then the firm takes this price here. Okay, so therefore, the industry is horizontal. I'm sorry. The industry is downward sloping, and the firm is horizontal. So 39 is C. All right, last one here. Number 40. Which of the following statements about the firms whose cost and revenue curves are shown above is correct? Are you profit maximizing at a price of 5? Well, let's figure out your profit max, which is MR equals MC. That happens where MC is equal to MR. This is your quantity. How do you find price? You go up to the demand curve, and that's 20. So is your price 5? No, your price is 20. Your profit maximizing output is 200. Yes. Are you maximizing, is your profits $4,000? Well, your cost is 10, because how did I find that? I went up to the ATC. So my profit is price minus ATC times my quantity. So it would be 20 minus 10 times 200. So that would be 2,000. So my profit is not 4,000. If it produces 250 units, it earns no economic profit. Well, we're earning no economic profit whenever my price equals my average total cost. And we don't know that one. We don't know the output. And finally, my total cost is 1,000. No, your total cost is not 1,000. It's 10 times 200. So it's actually 2,000. So the only one that makes sense here is B. All right, so that was questions 31 to 40. All right, we'll be going on to 41 to 50 in the next video. All right, thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.